This conference will now be recorded.
There you go.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad we're at 6 o'clock. We get this done. We can actually have dinner at a reasonable time. That's good. Welcome, everyone, and again, Happy New Year. Hope everybody's doing well. We are ready to start our 2021. Hopefully, 2021 will be a better year than 2020 would be. So that being said, let's approve the minutes of our December 8th, 2020 meeting. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Approval, deletions? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? We do have a quorum, yes. Okay, thanks, everybody. So, Kelly, what's been going on in this whole year that we haven't seen you?
I heard your name mentioned a lot.
Uh-oh.
I honestly don't have too much to update on. December is kind of slow, especially towards the end. Really quick, open space grant. We both, I shouldn't say both, but myself, Joe Gresco, Jay Habinsky, and Planning and Zoning. We've been meeting to discuss some potential properties that we would like to acquire for the upcoming open space grant that should be announced shortly, I believe, in the next coming month or so, hopefully. We haven't settled on what property we're going to go after yet, but we do have our sights set on some parcels. Well, hopefully more than one parcel, but maybe just one parcel on Lordship, or a parcel near the Greenway, Beacon Point Road. But more info to come when we settle on a parcel, and we'll start moving forward there. And that should occur. I think next week we're going to be meeting to discuss what direction we want to go in, and hopefully we'll come to somewhat of a conclusion. But we got to talk to property owners first and see if anyone's even interested in biting. But our focus is going to be continued on coastal resiliency and trying to obtain properties either directly on the coast or proximal to the coast. Other than that, not much else going on. I still haven't heard from David Tomasco, I want to say is his last name. The Tomasco parcel. His father's still in a nursing home. Hopefully with these COVID vaccines, that will start to open nursing homes back up, and we can further that conversation because we do have those grant funds waiting for us. So that would be really great. And that's all I have for any questions on open space.
You want to mention this church thing?
Oh, yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, Laura had received information that the off where I live on Silver Lane, there's a Greek Orthodox church that is going to be put up for sale, which has a bit of property and parking lot and things of that nature. And I'm not sure if it really doesn't fit into our open space criteria as it stands with the buildings on site, but it is a parcel that may be opened up for other uses than just a church right now. So something to just keep an eye on in that this area of the town does not have really, except for Second and Lane School, does not have any micro parks in the area at all for this section. So that could be something we could look into if we so desired, but just as an awareness.
Where is that? I'm just looking at the GIS right now. Do we have
you see us on I'll go outside and I'll wave. It's just up the street.
So we've
had people do that before.
You see Sorghum Road, like if you continue towards Broadbridge Avenue, there'll be a church property. It'll be on your left on the Stratford side. It's kind of with the UI easement, like there's a UI like high tension wires. Okay. You see the corner of Sorghum, and then continue. There'll be a few houses, and then you'll see the church.
Yep, I see.
And it kind of goes right back to Sorghum. it's,
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so again, just something to be aware of. There is, the stream is back there. There's some wetlands back there. So again, just something to, right now that, the wetlands back there are basically, Japanese knotweed and doesn't really have any much, biological value as far as I can see, but something maybe down the line. So just something to put on the table there.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
Bruce,
we'll keep an eye out for it.
back
And
to
then
you.
I think I saw Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
so that's one of, there's two, we talked a lot about the abandoned streets that I think you went out and looked at off Wood. There's Wood and Buskirk.
Uh-huh.
So that's, I guess, they're still trying to determine. I think that we sent it over to planning to see what they want to do.
Oh,
with those.
yeah, yeah, we're looking to off some of our paper streets because they turn into a little bit more of a headache than they're worth. They're usually landlocked too, so we've had some
Right.
trees come down especially from Van Buskirk onto someone's garage, and we couldn't even really get back there to deal with it. So we've been slowly looking into offing some of those paper streets, and I think the I can never say that word, Van Buskirk is going forward, I think, right? Very funky name.
Yeah.
But that's before planning, and that's moving forward. After it left me, I've been a little out of the loop on the progress being made.
Yeah, so we just moved it over to planning, so they're going to take a look at it
Okay.
and see how it could benefit the town, if it can or not, what to do with it.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Anything else in open space? Peoples?
I think
All right.
Mr. Gresco would like to
Gresco has his hand raised.
Who does?
Who does?
Joe Gresco.
Oh, Joe, I didn't even see him
Oh,
on
is Joe
here.
Gresco on there?
Where the hell's Joe? Joe, go ahead. Don't even know you're there.
Right here.
Oh, he's on the phone.
I'm right here. Can you hear me?
He's
Joe,
there.
you had something to say, Joseph?
I'll make it real quick because I don't want to extend the meeting longer than I have to. But Thursday is our OSBA meeting, and they'll be announcing the 2020 grants, and then they'll also probably announce the 2021 time frame for when we need to get our application in. Most likely July or August at this point, since we're in the middle of January. And then after Thursday, since Steve will be done with 2020. I'm going to give them a couple of days, and then I'm going to follow up with their willingness to work with the town in securing the 2 Beaver Dam parcels that we do have grant money for. I spoke to the owner this Sunday, and she's very motivated and is now, optimistic that Deep is willing to work with us. So I'll keep you posted on that. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the work you do on this, because this is a big deal for our town.
Agreed. Thank you.
All right, Brewster Pond.
Not much for updates
Over
on
there.
that. We are continuing. So as some of you may recall, I was working with a consulting firm to look for ways that we can improve Brewster Pond in situ at the pond itself. And we determined, they did some analysis and found some elevated levels of certain contaminants that would be consistent with sewage and things of that nature. And concurrently, our MS4 consultant, that's our townwide stormwater permit, found what looks to be a sanitary connection heading toward Brewster Pond. So the town engineering and myself are actively trying to track that down and disconnect that from our system. So some of the work I've been working on that we've been doing with the consultant has been put on hold until we can really track down this illicit connection as well as any others and disconnect them before we look back at Brewster Pond. So kind of gross, but it's not uncommon, unfortunately, especially with older towns, to have lines crossing and old connections that some some homeowner decided to connect to a storm line. Who knows? So so that's actively going on right now. I mean, not literally
Depending on
right
how much
now,
sewage
but
there, depending on how much sewage there, that could be a huge issue for that pond.
yeah, I mean, it already is a huge issue. So it'll be great if we could put a stop to that and see how the pond rebounds before we.
Kelly, who are you working with to figure that out? Are you working with WPCA people or?
So we have a environmental consulting and engineering firm, HRP Associates, and they're our consultant for that. They help us meet all of our MS4 permitting requirements. So they've been sampling all of the permit requirements are insane, and they have to sample during dry weather, during wet weather, all these different criteria. And so we're working with HRP and then engineering through town engineering. And our next step is they're going to be dye testing. I think it's Adzima Funeral Home, because it appears as though some of that potential sanitary flow is coming from there. So we'll see what happens. But
That's got other going on there, boy. Okay.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, Ty and Bond is the company that WPCA used, and they did this whole stormwater survey last year, I believe. They completed it with smoke tests and everything to figure out if homes, like personal homes, were connected illegally to the storm system. So I'm wondering if any of their data would help facilitate that.
I'll look into that. That was through WPCA. I have not heard of that at all, actually.
I'm not sure did they do the whole town?
They did the whole town.
Whole town,
okay. It was a storm water.
It's like people hooking up their.
Because they were helping us with renovating and updating some of the pump stations throughout town. With
oh wait, Ty and Bond is working on all the pump stations. I do know that.
So part of the work was to survey the water system. Like they did smoke tests throughout town. Town residents were notified when they were doing the smoke tests so that people wouldn't get freaked out by it. But this was something that happened last year.
Last year, okay. As in 2019 or 2020? 2019.
Oh, 2019 actually. In 2019,
okay.
Happened last year.
I'll check in on that. I have not heard anything, so it sounds like that would be really useful to us, though. So I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So Kelly did some work. Kelly did some work on. We had mentioned about waterfront access points, and Kelly did a good job of going through and getting the list together. So I'm not sure everybody got a copy of that, Kelly.
Kayaks ready.
Yeah, I emailed it out to everyone. I do have one edit I just learned of today. There was formerly a public access near Danny's Drive-In, and that access has changed. And I literally just got the I guess the deed language change via email, and it's many pages long. I haven't reviewed it yet to see what happened over there, but there's still public access, but it's different than what I have told you. So before you go wandering around over there, maybe hold off on that one spot.
That's between Riverview and Danny's, right? There's that little strip between there that goes to the river.
Yep,
I think
yep, exactly.
What happened, Kelly? What happened is that when Fagan's came in, and actually, no, after Fagan's, whatever the restaurant is in there now, they were going to put a hotel in there, and they were going to tear down one of the houses.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things they did was they did donate a section of property going down from Housatonic Avenue Extension down to the river. So it was, the deeds are probably were changed at that time because we told them that they had to do that before we would grant any permission for development. So you might want to look into that aspect.
Yes, it actually came up because there is a new proposal for that property to put some apartments and a new restaurant over there. So we had like a pre-application meeting with all the departments in town and the applicant. So that's how that got brought up, because a few of us were a little puzzled, especially since I just went through this exercise. I was like, wait a minute, I just learned that was there. Now it's already not there. But there was some miscommunication, I guess, between engineering and when that got filed.
It'd be interesting to see what kind of a survey they came in with, because that's the same exact proposal that went before the Wetlands Commission years ago. To put
Interesting.
in a park.
Hmm.
The main reason they didn't get it, and one of the other things is because parallel with the, I guess it's Route 1, the bridge, is the old street. There's a street that goes where the former bridge used to be down to the abutment. So that is town-owned property as well. So be careful there, because the sides, is it Route 1 that goes over to Devon? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's at the end of the park there. There's an old road bed there. Yeah.
There's a 60-foot strip to the south of that, which was the former road, which went to the former bridge.
It's cool.
There used to be another bridge there years ago.
Right. I'll have to look into that. Our discussions regarding that area specifically was that that's a DOT right of way for them to access the bridge abutment. If I'm thinking of what you're thinking of.
Maybe a DOT right of way, but it's public property, not private property.
Huh.
Like
I'll have to look into that.
right-of-way.
I think you lost Karen, and I'm not sure where Angela is.
Angela's still there. Karen, you still
No,
there?
I'm here. I'm just on my, what is this, Chromebook, and I can't turn on the camera.
It just keeps switching around. Yeah. We lose people and come back in. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, have you guys had a chance to look through some of those access points? I did mention it came up in a meeting, unrelated meeting. I was in with the mayor and Jay Hibansky, and I brought up that you guys were interested in doing some sort of project with this, and they were all really excited about it. So it would be really neat to have some sort of map or something just to try and get more folks out on the water. Although I'm sure that it may cause some controversy with the abutting property owners. So
Exactly.
there's a balance to be had on some of these, I'm sure.
That's one of the questions I have, and I should know this answer, but I think I asked this before, is that are we obligated, and should we do anyway, signage that says this is a public right of way? You know, is that something that I've seen in other towns where you go along and you see public water right of way or something like that. And I'm not sure if there's statute into the state that says we have to do that if there are areas. Joe, are you still on with us?
There's a sign like that along what's that, the River Road over there, right across from that pond. As you come around the bend, there's a little parking area.
Yeah.
You guys know
That
what I'm
one's
talking
pretty common. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to put that up because the budding property owner considered it his property, and we said no, it's not. It's actually town property. So we'll put a sign up and make it official.
So I'll take a look at it, but I don't know if there is something the town has to put signs up for public to show them these right of ways, or again, we could put up a map someplace that shows where these are, just a list where they are.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the confusion would be if they're not surveyed out to see what exactly it looks like, and we just put it out there without actually walking on it. We may have people calling back, Kelly, saying, well, what it goes into a drainage ditch or something like that. I mean, I was looking at the list. I was looking at the list, and it says into marsh, into river, and I'm wondering how far do you have to actually traverse to get to the water? I think some of it is. I actually do. I think some of it is. If you go there at low tide, there is no water there.
I agree. Yeah, all of these need to be field verified. I did this entirely from my computer, so and with the help of engineering.
I would love to do a field trip. So why don't we wait till it gets just a little warmer,
take the list and divide it up
and then go out.
Yeah,
We
give
could
us a list.
Yeah, we could do that. Why don't we do that, Kelly? We could set up a list and everybody just go out and do a little field trip. That'd be fun.
That would be really cool. Yeah. I'd
Okay,
like that.
so why don't we do that? Why don't we divide the list up, send it out to people and just say, for,
You walk this
between
up this week.
now and March, please look at these and check them off to see if they're actual spots or need work or there's a fence there or,
Maybe come up with some kind of like short little form that you can get.
Okay.
consistent. What I
Yeah,
mean, like
yeah, a
when
little
you go-
survey
When
form.
you go to look at it, everyone can assess the
Yeah.
same kind of thing.
Is there water? Yes or no?
Let's forget
That would be cool.
you come back and it's high tide.
Have you been shot at and things like that? That would be nice.
Kelly, you gotta make it like a tree risk assessment form, with all those kind of details.
Yeah.
Is this critical? Is this hazardous?
Yeah, I like the risk assessment part of that. That'd be
Yeah.
pretty good. Okay.
Is the owner.
Okay, I'll work on an inspection form. I mean, that'll be pretty easy to do.
I think it's so-
And
All
we
right,
can,
cool.
share that for our next meeting.
All right, Remington Woods.
I left this on here because I thought I was gonna have an update by the time of this meeting, and I haven't heard anything at all on this. So I don't know if Greg or Laura, if you've heard anything. I'm
No, we
guessing the
had that.
holiday kind of caused the holiday fuzz, and I'm guessing things that just need to kind of come back to reality still and check back in.
Right. Okay, so we'll pass on this till next time. Just as an update, this is where there's been discussion on the Bridgeport side with public discussion groups to talk about what they would like to see with the property. We do have property on our side. The person from I can't remember the name of the group now. Sierra Club wanted to know if we wanted to do something in Stratford for our side. We were looking to see about looking into that, and that's kind of where we are right now. That capsulizes. Okay. If we do have something, the commission will be there to listen into this and be part of it. But at this point, like Kelly said, we have not heard anything back on this. I'm still waiting to get confirmation or a little more discussion on the Bridgeport side, what they've been talking about over there. Joe, we won't ask you to comment on that at all. And so, yeah, I haven't heard anything new on the Bridgeport side at this juncture.
Well, I think that, look, the momentum is toward keeping it as an urban forest. So, not that I don't want you to have a meeting with the Sierra Club, but the meeting needs to be, the message from Stratford needs to be, yes, we agree with Bridgeport that it should be kept an urban forest. And
So,
I don't know if the mayor is on board with that. Maybe she would be now that the plan of conservation and development in Bridgeport has changed from being a corporate park to a urban forest. So maybe it would be something that it might change your mind. But
Joe, has that been ratified, that change?
yes.
Okay, all right. Because last time I talked, it had not been ratified. It was just in the planning stages. So that's ratified.
The city council, the city council approved it after
That is-
much. So
That's big news. That's really actually tremendously big news. That's cool. That is very cool.
That's nice
All
to
right.
hear.
So that's a great again for the Stratford side, which I do believe that every indication that I've had is that the Stratford side was basically going to be left alone also with very little things that could be done with it. So if that's the case, then we have a full parcel of protected land. That'd be very, very cool. All right. Well, we'll work on that and see where we are.
Yeah, maybe, Joe, that's something that we could bring up in our open space meeting with the mayor next week.
Yep. Fair enough.
Just
and hope
reminding you to remind me.
Yes.
All right.
Like Laura said, I don't think Laura's been much conversation. As I know, maybe
She's been there,
two or 3 years, I think we talked about this. But yeah, I don't know where she is with it right now. So.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that, by the time May rolls around, May and October are normally the months that Corteva has their 6-month or their update on the remediation. So I'm hoping that May will result in, maybe a little bit less COVID crazy. If the vaccine works, we'll actually have a physical update from them as far as where they are in the remediation. I think they're almost finished. So
Yeah, well, yeah, when we were there, that's kind of the indication they had, maybe a year or two out, right?
yep. So
So I I'm sorry, Joe, is just I don't want to belabor this, but on the Bridgeport plan, was that a 70-30 split were they looking at?
you mean open space to development?
Yeah.
There wasn't any percentage. I don't think that was in stone.
Okay, cool.
Now, of course, we're going to ask to have the whole thing, saved as an urban park. But if Corteva turns around and says, "Hey, I want to use the parcel that's closest to the animal shelter and the transfer station, I want to put something there." I mean, or on top of the where the Harding High School remediation was capped. Okay.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the rest of it, in exchange for saving the rest of it, yeah, I'll take it. So
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of been the potential idea of what would happen there, but that's cool. All right, thanks, Joseph. Excellent. All right, 319 grant.
So our 319 grant we are submitting a section 319 grant to DEP. It's a pass-through grant. It's federal, and DEP is administering it. We're submitting for a watershed-based plan of Bruce Brook. And Tina had submitted in fiscal year 2019 unsuccessfully. They're hard to get, watershed-based plans. But unfortunately, Bruce Brook, since Tina submitted, it went from one impaired segment to nearly the whole brook is considered impaired per CTDEP's 2020 Integrated Water Quality Plan. I think I'm getting that right, which is really sad in my opinion. But I'm hopeful that bad news will help us in getting this grant. We've formed a strong partnership with the city of Bridgeport on this. They're not co-applicants, but they've agreed to participate in our project meetings, provide any technical support we need, which is really exciting. And we also have support of Joe Gresco. Thank you again. We have the Soundkeeper on board, MetroCog, Harbor Watch. So we have a really rock solid team on this grant application. I'm feeling really excited about it. So I've also spoken with our watershed manager for our area, and he is going to do everything he can to vouch for us as well. So that's due on Thursday. I just heard back from Chris Timiak. He's given us his blessing. The mayor gave us her blessing last week. So we're ready to, I'll be submitting tomorrow. So pretty exciting stuff. Hopefully we'll get it and we can make efforts toward cleaning up Bruce Brook. And this, if we do get this watershed-based plan, this grant, it'll allow us to apply for additional Section 319 grant funding for actual implementation projects. So right now we can't apply to actually implement any water quality improvement projects without this watershed-based plan. So this is really exciting. Fingers crossed, I guess, for us. And if you guys would like a copy of the grant, I wrote it in coordination with our grant writer, Greg Riley. But if you'd like, I can send you guys a copy. I don't know if you're interested in reviewing it or not.
How much is the grant for?
I'm asking for, I should know off the top of my head, but that was the least of my concerns, is throwing the dollar signs on it. The total project cost, I want to say, is $104,000, but that includes all the in-kind, like town staff, labor, and whatnot that I added in there. But I want to say we're asking for $70,000 or $80,000, 55
All right.
for the plan, and then about 25 grand to fund 2 years of monitoring by Harbor Watch. So I tried to kind of throw them a bone. They've supplied us with data since 2017 on Bruce Brook, and we haven't really funded any of that. So I tried to work them into the grant as well.
And that's going out this week, right?
Thursday.
Yeah,
Thursday.
It's due Thursday, but my plan is to get it all together for tomorrow.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
We're working with Save the Sound on a project at the zoo again. So yeah, our part's going out Thursday. Cool.
It's very smart with the Harbor Watch because, you know, it's been all I can do to stop them from running to the press and have them, you know, say that, oh, Bruce Brook is the worst, you know, worst tributary going into Long Island Sound ever, you know, and they see that we're trying to find the solution to it. And, you know, even the WPCA in Bridgeport has found about a dozen of these illegal hookups that you were just describing.
Right.
And you know, and it still is not making a difference. So we have to look deep.
I totally agree. I found out, so Bruce Brook, out of the 16 water courses that Harbor Watch has been monitoring, Bruce Brook has been the worst every single year, which is gross, and that's not a scientific term. And Bruce Brook has the most impervious cover of any watershed in Connecticut as of 2002. There's like 50 some odd % impervious cover in the watershed, which is insane. So I found all these sad facts about Bruce Brook, so hopefully we can reverse some of them.
We used to walk on that for miles on that concrete water course.
Just thinking the same thing. I used to play in there.
Yeah, exactly. We used to go play. We used to play baseball over at Clover Field and go jump in there and take a. Yeah,
That's
all the
exactly.
time. All the time.
You, me, and Walter Eistishin.
And it's again great because partnering up with groups like this, it just makes sense. It like Joe said, it's great, you know, to bring people on board with it. So it works double better.
So Kelly, really quick, whatever happened with the educational like pamphlet? We talked about that. That was for the residents.
For Bruce Brook?
Yeah.
Yeah, that went out. So I posted it early last year on, I think on the MS4 or conservation website on the town's website. And then it got mailed out.
It did get mailed out.
It got mailed out to every property that abutted Bruce Brook. So it didn't get mailed out to the entire watershed because it's a big list. But any property that abutted Bruce Brook, it did get mailed out. And we did, I would say we heard from maybe 5 to 6 residents either ratting out their neighbors or just saying, hey, yeah, this is a huge problem and I've been complaining for years. So it was kind of nice just to hear from people in general, to get people to know that people are thinking about it at least. And so it's a start.
You just say ratting out their neighbors, right? Is that what you say?
Yeah.
The scientific term. Yeah.
Yes.
I enjoy it because in the zoo, it makes sense to do it in the conservation and the zoo too. All right.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else for Kelly on her reports? Okay. Old business. Oh, Joe, go ahead.
I have to go. I'm just gonna tell Kelly that an update, the US Solar, the Shelton landfill. Yeah, they're having, I know everybody's gonna be shocked, but they're having problems with DEEP. And it's on hold. So as soon as I find out what the deal is or whether they're interested in moving to somewhere else, I don't know, but that's the latest. And thank you for letting me interrupt and have a
Joseph, thank you very much. Happy New Year. Thank you. Okay, we do have one thing of old business. We are getting close to, we still have a quorum, Haley? Karen left. Angela's still here, right? Angela?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Then if people are dropping off if we're losing our quorum. Okay, old business. We had park vandalism we talked about. This was trying to figure out how we can get more support for the town, more support for the parks and our open space areas. I'm not sure, Kelly, how far we've gone, Laura, how far we've gotten on that. I know Kelly had sent an old job description, and at this point, so again, I just at this point I just don't know where and if anything else. The job description was really it was again one of those just job descriptions like my job description. It was typed up on something that on a regular typewriter and then mimeographed out, and you know, so that's how old that one. I saw it and I could recognize how old that was. So again, I'm not sure where we can stand with this at this point.
I did want to update you. I did ask for some information on vandalism, some statistics, but I haven't gotten any actual numbers yet. But for the responses I got immediately were, how do I come up with this number? We just, if there's graffiti or something, we just go fix it, and it's just kind of part of what we do.
Right.
So I guess nothing's really been thought of as to like flag for vandalism versus wear and tear, except for graffiti. Obviously, that's obviously vandalism. But I haven't gotten any good responses with numbers or anything like that to help this case.
Okay.
It's probably cheaper to fix stuff.
It's back to what I've said in the past, and I give my old analogy from my old boss that said, when you try to outweigh the amount of damage, the amount of cost to bring somebody in to keep that damage from happening, it usually, the amount it costs to hire somebody or multiple people to do that, the cost of fixing is cheaper than actually hiring the people for it. And that's been a mantra for many years, not just Stratford, but every place else.
When I did talk to the park superintendent, he did mention that there was someone on staff briefly who worked a few hours every night and would drive around to the parks, but it was making no difference, and they released the position. But I didn't get any. I guess we didn't go into depth on that topic, so I didn't get any other information other than that. So I don't know how long he was employed for or any of the details of his employment.
It was basically the lock gates, I think, right? That was basically their job. Drive around, make sure things are done, check on people in the lock gates, the open gates and lock gates, probably. I'm not sure where else we can talk about this at this point. One of the things we've talked about this before. The other options is that we try to put together, and again, very difficult to do, is put together Friends of Parks, Friends of Stratford Parks, Friends of Stratford Open Space, and we get volunteers to work on these things to help, not police, because they're not going to be any arrest capabilities, but at least visuals and potential call-ins, and just like you said, like when we said, Kelly, about ratting people out, again, it's the public helping public, constituents helping constituents, which sometimes actually works better if people know that if everybody's watching, then things calm down a little bit. But that's going to take some time and some thought on how we'd set that up, who's going to do the training. Is it a conservation program? I would kind of say no. I would say more of a parks and recreation program, because to me a conservation program like this would be more out there helping get remediation and protection of plants and animals more than it is policing up for trash and things of that nature. Again, there's a very, very thin line there between both. Maybe it's a combination between both of us. I don't know. Maybe it's something we could look into.
Actually, Greg, I was going to say, for Roosevelt Forest, I mean, they have their Friends of Roosevelt Forest, and there's the man, Lou Loban, who does the marathon series. So he's basically taken over that area. And then you have the Short Beach, Friends of Short Beach. I mean, what other parks will we be looking at in town? I mean, we have a lot of parks.
There's a Friends of Long Beach page too, to say it like that, but.
Yeah, but if it's a Friends of Long, again, the page is more of people saying how everything, there's really nothing that stops anything. There's no enforcement capability there. I'm not saying enforcement, I'm trying to get the right words, but it have a Facebook page saying is trash, there's dogs, there's this, there's that, but it's just basically an airing out of grievances more than it is an actual actionable items, action steps. There are some, but there's no real action steps. So again, that's where we're looking at. We're looking at how can we have actionable things that can kind of curb some of the things that are happening in our parks, and without having a paid person doing that, or police officers doing that, or a park police doing that. How then can you move that? See, I would think police officers in the area, if there's people that use the parks and they know that they can call a police officer and say there's an issue going on, that they would respond, that could be a big help. But you have to.
More lights? More lights? Is it dark areas?
I don't think it's the, see here, that's back to putting more lights in means that more people can congregate because they have lights to congregate. It all depends on the security issue. You back and forth, in Beardsley Park, they eliminated most of the lights in Beardsley Park because people would go in there at night and they have lights and they could just do what the hell they wanted to do. They took all the lights out. Now you're sitting in the dark. Nobody's really in there. So there's pros and cons to each avenue. I don't know where we want to go with this right now. We can leave it as old business right now. Leave it on there, and we could discuss, and we could and Laura can keep looking at options within the government, and we can just keep talking about what other things we can do.
Okay. Can I just ask, like, I mean, if we like something like Clover Park, if we can kind of just, I guess my question is, which parks are most heavily impacted? So there's a park like Clover because you have baseball and basketball going on there and a lot of, again, foot traffic.
Right.
Again, the Pocket Park at Second Hill Lane. So again, Kelly, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't want to put one more burden on your shoulders, but again, as far as numbers, again, even just in casual conversation, just like, hey, which parks are you cleaning up at the most? Kind of thing. Because again, having been to Clover for many years and seeing again the heavy foot traffic there, I think that would be one place. Again, all the graffiti and the culverts. Speaking of Bruce Brook, things like that.
Right. It's definitely tough to gauge though, because we had a lot of issues with Farm Mill River Park this summer, with folks just partying. And I mean, the worst part is if you're gonna party and jump off the waterfalls, which you're not supposed to do, then they're leaving their trash behind, and you're like, all right, if you're gonna do one illegal thing, at least don't do the other illegal thing.
So my thing there is. Yeah, so my thing there is that's conservation because they're leaving trash. Trash is there, if it gets in the river goes to the thing. That's a conservation issue. A ball field where somebody's graffitiing the bleachers, that's public works and that's parks and recreation. So again, we have to figure out what is in with our scope of conservation that we are. So yeah, to me, Farm Mill Brook where they're trashing the place with garbage, that's an issue. Throwing trash on the boat ramp, that's an issue. Those are the places I think that we should maybe try to prioritize the areas that we're talking about. Then we could see if there's ways we could kind of focus on those areas more. Because we can't do the whole thing. You just can't say the whole thing. If there's Roosevelt Park Commission, then their job it really is to look at keeping the park well maintained, not conservation's job. So I think maybe we should think about how we can prioritize a little bit, and maybe that makes it a little more palatable on how we can get some things done on these things.
I think one idea I have is to maybe vote for this commission to focus on our open space properties that maybe some people are accessing some of them, but for example, Farm Mill River, that is an open space property. There's no garbage cans there because there's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be you're in nature. You take in what you take out or what have you. So maybe to look at open space parcels and see if any of those kind of need priority. Those that straddle the park open space boundary, I guess. That might be a good.
I like that idea, and maybe again, I hate to say signage because signage gets graffitied up and destroyed and thrown away. But sometimes if there's a sign there that says, please pack in what you take out what you bring in. If you have one person who does it and sees another person who doesn't do it, those people will get told, pick up your trash. And that may be how we start this ball. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were struggling with it across many departments over the summer with Farm Mill River because we had neighbors that were just antagonizing the folks that were going there even more. They were going down there with their phones and recording these nasty conversations, and it made the people mad and want to throw more garbage out. And so it's very frustrating. But there are signs there that say you have to take out what you bring in. So I don't know the right answer.
No, there really isn't. And arresting people, maybe people know that there's consequences for their actions that may be there, but that has to happen. It doesn't happen, and it's got to happen often enough to where the word gets out. So
Somebody jumps the waterfall and cracks their head on a stone. Can they sue our town?
I'm not sure. There's signs saying that they can't go in the water, like they cannot go swimming. There's signs even right by the waterfall area that say no swimming allowed and
Right.
all that nonsense. So my guess is no, because they are kind of trespassing at that point. They're not supposed to be doing that. I'm sure they would find a way to do it.
My experiences would be they can sue with anything. You can put as many signs as you want, and a lawyer will turn around and say, well, they were able to get to that area and do it. So that allows us,
Like
makes
for
it
that Farm Mill place, there's that office building that's there. So it's dentist there. People park in that lot. And what they do is they go onto River Road and they scale this like rock wall, like a retaining wall.
Yeah.
And it's like barely like a foot wide. And you see the like little kids hanging onto the chain link fence, scooting across with whatever it is. And I'm like, oh my God, somebody's gonna die. It's just it's nothing. They're not supposed to go that way, but they will go that way.
Right. So, and if they fall off, they were able to do it. Yeah. So, Kelly, let's look at, and everybody, I don't know if you concur with this, but let's try to put, like I said, try to put a list together of the areas that have the conservation bent to them, and then see if we can focus on how we could help with that. All right, new business. Not new business for me. I just let you know the snowy owls are back in. If you haven't seen them or heard about it, the snowy owls are back in over at Long Beach West and in Stupany McKinney Wildlife Refuge. I'm trying to find some words to put on our Facebook page because of people in their penchant now to take pictures. As soon as they find out the snowy owls are in, they go en masse. Some people are very, very good at staying back, but a lot of people want to get up there and get their good shot in, and they scare the owls, and those owls need to be kind of left alone. So I do want to put something out there. I know Joe Kabrisky did put something on Facebook about it. I know the mayor actually thought that was cool that it's happening, but again, we want to make sure that this doesn't get the owls to where they're aggravated or abused at that point. So I want to put something on Facebook.
We did have a photographer, I don't remember, they're from somewhere in Lower Fairfield County or maybe even New York, called Public Works asking for updates on the snowy owl so he can come and photograph it. And I told him that we do not maintain those updates. So there are people scrounging to look for these owls already. So
that's the problem. And I saw it a couple of years ago. Laura and I were walking to the beach, and there was a snowy owl down, and there had to be 30 or 40 people heading to where the snowy owl was, really just walking to where the snowy owl was. And you had to kind of tell them, if you do that, you're scaring them away. They won't come back. They're stressing them out. They're here already stressed. That's why they're here. And but again, that's back to our big issue of just education. So I know a lot of the photographers now, though, the people that are I want to say they're amateurs, but they're heavy duty amateurs. They know this, and they, again, back to self-policing. They will stop people from getting close to those owls. They will yell at them, and they will stop them doing it. So it can work. I'm making a little bit of a jump back over to what we were just talking about. It does work if people get have an emotional tie into it, and they do have an emotional tie into those owls. Those big guys with the long lenses don't want those owls leaving, and they don't want them hurt. So if anybody starts walking to them, they stop them from doing it. So it does work when people actually take the responsibility. All right. Anything else for new business?
It's not new business, but I just wanted to tell you I ran into Teresa Gallagher from the Shetland version of this, their conservation, and she was talking about something we were talking about like a year ago or maybe more. the boat ramp in Shelton that they've been, again, having problems similar to what we're having with Farm Mill River. And they said they finally had to put up like an 8-foot chain link fence to stop people.
Wow, okay.
So,
Use it and then you.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, yeah, that's like Laura said, that's what happens is that people
Yeah.
abuse and it's taken away.
Yeah.
So,
So again, there's precedent there. I mean, again, I know what you're talking about on Farm Mill River. You know, and again, I guess if Shelton does it, I guess, you know, it gives us, what's the word I'm looking for?
Not a precedent for us to do.
Yeah, precedent to do the same thing. Thank you.
Yep. Well, let's take a look at that. Maybe it's something we could band together with them on that and see if we could, you know, again, you hate to take, it is open space, you hate to take it away from people, but, you know.
There's no safe way to get to it.
No.
Yeah, specifically with Farm Mill River, we can't block access because of the grant funding that was used to acquire portions of that.
There should be a way to block access by climbing over a retaining wall or climbing across the retaining wall.
Yeah.
What's the other way to
for
act?
Right, for the bridge. I'm just talking about like the actual open space parcel. We can't.
Yeah.
No. No, she was talking about, again, they weren't blocking access to people, but they were putting up a fence for the people who were climbing over where they were not supposed to be climbing over.
Whether they're not supposed to climb, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Good. Let's take a look at that. That'd be all right. All right. Anything else? How's everybody doing? Joseph, how you doing?
Hanging in.
That's all we could.
With everybody. Does anybody know Mike Aurelia? He
No.
was conservation director down in Greenwich.
Yeah,
And-
Mike, yeah, sure.
Well,
Yeah.
anyway, he and his wife retired and they moved to, I think it's one of the towns on, I don't know which side of the Connecticut River, but their property abuts tidal wetlands. And he sent me some information about the animals that they see on their property. It was unbelievable, the variety of stuff that they see daily. And I thought that was kind of cool. I thought I'd share that with you, that there are two people that were conservation directors. First it was Mike, and then he retired and she was assistant, and then she took over. And now she
Yeah.
But they must be in heaven down there, you know, which is essentially the backyard is there, is tidal wetlands, and there's pretty good.
He's in Old Lyme, Connecticut. Old Lyme. So he's right in the Connecticut River. Yep.
Was it O-Line?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. So I told him, I says, you guys ought to make some videos, some educational videos in your backyard for, you know, schools. 'Cause they both have a lot of background, and, you know, they seem to enjoy the fact that they have that in their backyard. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, guys. If there's nothing else, Happy New Year. See you in February. Thank you so very much. Again, it's been a quiet December, January kind of quiet. So we'll pick it up in February and get some stuff done. Thank you so very much. Again, have a good rest of the winter. Stay safe, guys, please. You know,
Greg, you need a motion to adjourn.
Yep. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, guys. Thank you so very much. See you, Santa. See you next year.
All right.